The number one BS idea is that you're not meant to feel fear. No, fear is amazing. You should love your fear. It's like it keeps you alive. It's something that is just like the most beautiful feedback to you of what is it, the very thing that you should be doing. Are you scared of this? Great, this is your medicine.
Welcome to Why Isn't Everyone Doing This? I'm Emily Fletcher, and I believe that bliss is your birthright. That's why I'm calling on my world-class network to uncover the most potent, spine-tingling, even taboo healing modalities, all so you can reclaim your bliss. Let's do this. If you have ever felt like fear has kept you from doing something that you want, then today's episode is for you. Aggie moved to America, broke as an immigrant from Poland, and she has gone on to become an author, an influencer. She has over 1 million followers on Instagram. She is bringing biohacking to the rest of us. She has been on Dancing with the Stars. She went on an 11-month sailing trip with zero prior experience, and she jumps out of perfectly good planes for fun. And I'm so excited for you to learn how she manages to reframe her fear in a way that helps her break out of some deep childhood programming, which is something that I think all of us could use. So enjoy the episode, and I'm excited to hear what you think. I just know her as Aggie because on Instagram, she's one of the few people that actually just has her first name as her handle, where she has built a beautiful, loyal following of people that were originally interested in travel. And then you just keep blowing our minds again and again by breaking through barriers, your own fears, trying on new things. Every time I tune in, I follow very few people on Instagram the way that I follow you. So I feel like I really deeply know you. But every time I look, it's like, oh, now you're skydiving. Oh, I'm sorry. Now you're like on Dancing with the Stars. I was on Broadway for 13 years. Not a chance would I go on Dancing with the Stars. I'd be too afraid. And you were like, oh, gonna face
Ignorance
this
is a bliss. I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
You know how hard it would be.
Yeah.
Also, I know that in the past few years, I see you like deepening your spiritual work. I see you like really going in and facing the big, dark emotions. And it feels like it's just opened up this bigger level of magic and magnetism. And now you've started the Higher Self Academy. You're starting the Biohacking Bestie podcast. Yeah. And so the thing that I want to know from you, because the thing that I see you doing again and again and again is facing your fears, conquering your fears, like going into the belly of the beast and doing something new, proving yourself wrong, proving other people wrong. Like, oh, you would dismiss me as this like hot Barbie travel blogger. I'm going to show you. I'm going to start this business. And it feels so inspiring and simultaneously like you're really balancing your masculine and feminine energy. But the thing I want to know is, why isn't everyone conquering their fears the way that you do? And can you share this key with us?
Oh, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. Good luck on the podcast. I know it will reach the right people. And I think you bring that feminine. I literally had a conversation with our friend Vailana the other day, and I'm like, we need more women in the podcast space that are having these beautiful, deep conversations from like beautiful feminine energy that they bring into. And so thank you for paving the way. Definitely not enough women, and I'm here every step of the way just to cheer you on and see it succeed and be the number one, because you so deserve it, because you really are who you are on social media, in person, and even more, which is very rare. So thank you for having me. I feel super honored.
My pleasure.
My pleasure. Oh,
my pleasure.
Yeah, it sounds so different when you say it, because I know that. Well, so many great questions, right? So I think number one, when it comes to like conquering your fears, I think the way I have approached what scares me the most has changed over the years. So I used to conquer it, right? I used to come at it with a very masculine energy of something that I need to destroy. Like conquering, like you conquer a city, right? Like you're at war with somebody and you just use all the force and power and everything that you can to override how you feel, aka the fear, and then you somehow feel like you shouldn't be feeling it, and then you kind of conquer it and you're good. And while this is a great strategy, it's very masculine and like served me to an extent. And now I say I dance with my fear because I love it. I love my fear. Yeah, so I'm gonna dance with my fear because the number one BS like idea is that you're not meant to feel fear. No, fear is amazing. You should love your fear. It's like it keeps you alive. It's something that is just like the most beautiful feedback to you of what is what is it, the very thing that you should be doing? Are you scared of this? Great. This is your medicine to reach the next level.
Okay, so say more. Like when you say I love my fear, is it because of that? It's because it's pointing you to your medicine?
Yeah, so I used to think that like, oh, if I'm afraid of skydiving, I should stay away from it because that means that I'm probably not going to be good at it. I also didn't trust myself that I'm going to open a parachute. Like when people were like, oh, you're skydiving, I'm like, well, I wouldn't know. There's too much to remember. So I wouldn't know what to do when, and I'm probably going to kill myself. I'd rather go with somebody else, aka outsource my power and the
like the tandem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's true for all the areas of life, right? I would trust other people. I would trust a doctor instead of just like taking my health, my life, and the responsibility into my own hands and be like, no, fuck it. I'm actually just going to figure it out myself. Can we swear?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Give it to us.
Sorry, it's too late. And so, yeah, so that was like a big realization. Like I no longer want to conquer my fear. Now when I am afraid of something, whether it's a difficult conversation, whether it's starting a podcast or coming on one, it's like, oh, I know that this is my medicine to reach my higher self, to reach the next level. I think life is a computer game and you just go through like different levels. And once you passed a test of like, oh, she conquered one fear, ta-dong! You get like a little point and the coin, and then go straight.
New superpower.
Yeah. Like do. And so I really feel like this is my path to my higher self through fear, like literally the very thing. So whatever that is for you, first of all, love the fact that you're afraid of it. Second, dance with it. And there is the difference between anxiety, aka fear, and excitement is the mindset, right? It's the same biological chemistry happening in your body. So I often realize that every time I feel like I'm anxious, I'm actually just like, it's excitement plus fear. And fear comes from the wrong mindset. So I realized that like, oh, there's nothing to be afraid of because everything's perfect. So that really helps me now. I'm more excited about things.
And so 2 questions. First, how do you differentiate like, oh, this is a fear that is my medicine. This is something that if I face, I get to go to another video game versus like nature protecting you or like an aversion or like that's a boundary that's not for me. How do you tell the difference between those 2 things?
Very good question. I think it's, there's different kind of fears. So for example, I think when I think of something that like I still haven't conquered would be base jumping. Like this is something that I'm like still like, oof.
What is base jumping exactly?
Base jumping is like when you jump off a rock or a mountain and it's like proximity flying. So you probably see the squirrel guys.
Like the flying squirrels.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So that's like the death rate is like 50% almost.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's really scary. So I'm like, obviously, like I'm like, oh, I'm not ready yet. And there's a level of like, it doesn't resonate with me. So like, I don't really miss it. But with skydiving, there was something about that fear that I felt triggered by. Mm-hmm. That wasn't a fear that I felt like, oh, whatever. Like with base jumping, I'm like, oh, cool. Like I'm happy. For people with skydiving, I was like, it's not me. And there was that like little voice of like, oh. What if, like, why? And what has been the most amazing medicine for me is hanging out with a lot of skydivers and them feeling absolutely zero fear on the plane. So I'm like on my first jump, and you basically sit a whole day in a classroom, and your first jump is totally by yourself.
What do you mean by yourself? Like you're not on someone else's body, it's just you jumping out of the plane. Your first jump.
Yeah, your first
by
jump.
yourself.
Yeah. So like that's the fine print. I didn't realize. I thought you do a tandem, but no, you basically get 2 instructors. They hold on to you, but you have to jump out by yourself and you have to do everything by yourself. The moment you pull your parachute, you're on your own. You have to land by yourself as well. And so you have a little theory. So you imagine you sign up, I'm like, okay, finally, I'm going to do it. I go to a class. So I did my license in Dubai. So for about 8 hours, you have a one-on-one class when they explain about 100 ways you can die skydiving. So it was like, yeah, that's all they do. That's the theory.
Just go right
if you don't pull it, you're gonna die. If you don't do this, you're gonna die. If you don't do that, you're gonna die. Like it's like one after the other. They explain everything. And so when I'm like, yeah, this is great. To like, I literally left the class crying. I was like, I don't think I can do it. This is like crazy. Like I've never taken so much responsibility for my life, but it's a beautiful metaphor because ever since I started skydiving, it translated in so many beautiful things in my life. So the next day you wake up at 6, you go to the drop zone and, they dress you in this like special jumpsuit, skydiving jumpsuit, and you're the last one on the plane because you're a student. So you see 20 people in front of you smiling, which was so fucking annoying. I'm like, how dare they smile? Can they see I'm stressed? And it was so, you know how you're like really miserable?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
You
I'm going to
fight
vomit.
somebody.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, I'm like, oh, so loud. Just no. So then I see them coming out and I couldn't even look at them falling out of the plane because it was just so scary, because obviously you're programmed that if someone's falling out of the plane, probably not the best situation to be in. So I couldn't even look at them. I would just like turn my head around. I just waited. He's like, okay, we're going to go. I'm like, okay, I'm going to jump. And so my instructor was like, make sure you have your eyes open. And I'm like, I can't, I have to jump. It was too scary to look. So I jumped and then you fall and it's like so scary. And then you pull your parachute and then the tears of gratitude and the tears of like, it is just me and Mother Nature. And I'm hanging about 6,000 feet above, the planet Earth and just watching it and flying like a bird. And I was like, wow, the fear would almost take away this experience from me. And I get to do it again and again and again, like 300 times later. I still get, like, if I haven't skydived for a month and I go again, I literally cry every time I pull my parachute. I was like, what a miracle. Like I dreamed about flying and I get to do that. And there's so many ways to keep skydiving safe, and not is to say that things don't happen, but as like with everything, it's actually not as dangerous of a sport the more you get to know it. So it's usually that's what happens with fear. We're afraid of things we don't understand and we don't know. So that was like a beautiful metaphor for me to give myself permission to take extreme ownership of my life, of my circumstances, and just acting from a place of like the main character of my own life instead of like jumping on someone's back. And, like I think it's a metaphor for life. Are you tandeming? I don't know if it's a word, but are you doing a tandem of your life? Are you just piggybacking as codependency on someone else's success, right? Whether it's your partner or whether it's, you don't know what to do with your life. So you're going to hold on tandem to your child because you can't find your purpose, right? Or you're going to say, fuck it, I'm going to take extreme ownership. I'm going to channel the main character energy into my life and be like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it myself. And I trust myself that I'm going to be okay.
I see that happening for you in so many areas, like internally with your spiritual work. I see you doing it with your physiology through the biohacking. I see you doing it in business and in your relationships, in your homes. So I'm curious to know, like, has this always been a piece of you? Like, I know you grew up in Poland. I know it was a really like intense situation leaving Poland. I know that you have had tough relationships. You sailed across the Pacific. So like, it seems like from the outside in, it feels like you've always been someone who's conquered your fears. But I imagine that that's not the case. Like, I'm sure there's like a scared little girl, Aggie, in there. So like, talk to me about how you went from like scared little girl Aggie to like this like warrior woman.
She's there. She's sitting right in front of you. I think it was just like so many projections of my culture, of my family, that was keeping me really terrified. So I'm actually a very fearful person. People never get that from me, but I'm afraid of everything. But that itch and that deeper knowing that I'm capable of more doesn't let me sit still, right? And that feeling of like I call it the higher self, the voice inside of me that says, you can do this, you got this, right? And now the science like came up with the study that positive self-talk and telling yourself that you can do this can actually conquer your fears. But at the end of the day, it's like,
but not if you know you're lying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could do it. I mean, I guess you could fake it till you make it. But like, if you know you're lying, you're like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. But if you don't mean it, if you don't believe it, if you don't feel it, then it takes probably a lot to get.
100%. I think it was beautiful. I'm not so recent, but during one of my ayahuasca journeys, I had this, ayahuasca showed me every single excuse I ever came up with to sabotage my success and my growth. And it started from being from Poland, from a poor family, from being, short, English being not my first language. I mean, the list was so long. It was incredible. And always suggest, this time because I was too young first, then I'm too old, then I'm like not skiing enough, whatever the story I was telling myself. And she showed me, she's like, they just keep coming up until you realize that these are just stories that you don't have to engage in anymore, right? And is it keeping you small and it doesn't make you feel expansive? And I realize how I'm like really choosing to engage in those stories that no longer serve me. They never did, maybe to a degree, but I know that fear for Aggie is still there, and I have so much empathy for her because there is a part of her that feels like she needs to be a big dude to, to be brave instead of a little girl. And I'm really tiny. You can't really see it on camera or on the podcast. And so, yeah, like you said something about the energy of proving. And I think maybe at the beginning I was trying to prove it to other people, but that just is very short-sighted. It's very ego-driven. And I'm not really like trying to prove it to myself, as more so just remembering the feeling of the unlimited possibilities and how good they taste when you actually realize that they're there and they're all available for you if you stop engaging those boring stories that keep you small. But I'm like, so delicious when I think I get to do everything I want.
Yeah, I feel like when you were telling the skydiving story and when you, like, I could feel the fear in my body. I felt like I was jumping out of the plane. And then when you said you pull the cord and everything stops, and it feels like you're flying and your tears, like I feel like I could feel that in my body. And I feel like I'm imprinting that now. Because for me, one of the things that makes me the most scared is having difficult conversations, like engaging in conflict or hurting someone's feelings. Like it actually feels like death for me. So I grew up and my dad was an amazing man, a brilliant man, and a very angry man. He was very sad and very angry. And so he drank a lot. And so when he would drink, his like temper was super volatile. And so I actually like grew up thinking that, he was so angry that my mom had this story. It's like kind of intense and dark, but here we go. She had this story. I was like, why don't you leave? Like, why don't you leave? Why don't you leave? And she was like, well, I don't know what your dad is capable of.
Oh, wow.
Like that was the story she would say on repeat. If we leave, I don't know what your dad is capable of. And so I grew up thinking that if we leave, that he would kill us. And so I actually wired in my nervous system that conflict equals death.
Wow. And rightly so, right? If this is what your parents tell you.
Yeah, like little Emily believed that. And it wasn't until like about 3 years ago that my coach was doing an exercise with me and she's like, you got to clean up these hauntings. And it was just one conversation. And my father passed away, but I asked my mom and I was like, hey mom, do you remember this? And I was like, when you would say that, like, what did you mean? Like, what did you actually think would happen? And I was like, because just so you know, like what I heard is that he would kill us. And she was like, no, Emily, absolutely not. Your father was never capable of that. He would have never hurt us. And I was like, this was literally news to me at 41 years old. I was like, what? And I'm so glad that I had the conversation, because had I not, I likely would have stayed in that story of conflict equals death. And then I would have been too scared to change my life, to ask for things that I needed, or to even have difficult conversations. So it seems so small and silly, like compared to jumping out of a plane versus like asking your roommate to like not eat your cheese or something.
Which, by the way, I would find that more stressful than actually jumping out of a plane, right?
Yeah, because it's like hurting someone's feelings. And so I just feel like, thank you for that imprint, because now when I'm feeling that fear of having the conversation, I'm going to picture you like flying through the sky and crying tears of gratitude and being like, it tastes so sweet. And it's always the fear of the thing is harder than the thing.
Yeah, so true. And also like it's that assumption that someone can't handle something difficult, right? So it's almost denying them the growth, and also feeling like you don't think highly of them enough to handle a difficult conversation, which is right. We're trying to like, for me, it was very clear in like my relationship. I didn't want to hurt Jacob's feelings, for example. And then I realized I'm like, but like, why am I feeling like he wouldn't be able to handle that, right? It's almost like a little condescending for your male king partner, right? Because you're like, oh, I don't think you can handle a difficult conversation. Right?
And then what happened? And I'm assuming you had it.
Yeah, I mean, constantly, right? And it was just like, but it's such a funny preconception that I had, that I was somewhat avoiding a difficult conversation is avoiding conflict. But the conflict gets bigger without the difficult conversation.
Or you internalize it.
Yeah. It's like the inside conflict. So it's quite funny.
So I guess what fear are you most proud of having conquered or danced with?
Oh, wow. I think the skydiving one was definitely like up there. And this the thing with skydiving is that you basically have to put yourself together for like 15 seconds, like just right before, like you can still stay on a plane and don't jump out, right? So you have that 15 seconds of like, okay, I'm gonna actually jump out and just making sure that everything works, and then you're good, right? Like you're flying and you forget it. The second you jump out, you're no longer stressed. And the one final moment that you are stressed is landing, because that's where most deaths actually happen. People think it's when you jump out, but it's actually when you land, because it's still there's so many things that can go wrong. But sailing across the Pacific, I just did not have the awareness. I didn't have the tools. I didn't know anything apart from the fact that like my life in Sydney, I lived in Australia. It was like making everybody proud, being the perfect girl, and like got a corporate job and studied, like I got my master's in business management, like couldn't be further from what I really wanted to do. But it just seemed like everyone's like, it's such a good idea for you. An immigrant getting a really difficult degree in another country, like this is how you prove to people that you belong, So I did that, right? To just say like, look, I'm actually smart, and I might be blonde, but I'm smart. And I also like was able to do all of these things, but I was so miserable. And so my then partner, when he said like, I was like, I need to do something, anything, just not being here, like what's out there? And he's like, well, we can go sailing, but neither of us ever sailed before. Neither of us have ever been on a sailboat. He's like, it's like jumping in a spaceship without ever being on one. And so we got a boat on eBay for $9,000. It was like 40 years old. It was in Mexico. We flew to Mexico. And it's so funny because people are like, why did you do it? I'm like, it's so funny because I knew that I can die. Like every single person that we would meet, they're like, what you're doing is insane. It's a cyclone season. Your boat is very old. You don't have an EPIRB. You don't have a satellite phone. You have no tools. Like you're Christopher Columbus. You're just going with one GPS. Like you're not even technically allowed to sail like this anymore. You have to have like a raft. And like we didn't have anything. We were just like, if anything goes wrong, we're dead. And so, but that, I was like so desperate to change my life that I was like willing to risk everything, including my life, just to change something, change the code, change the life I was living in. I was living so much on an autopilot, right? Which is so funny because autopilot is the one thing we didn't have on a boat. It's like the irony. But I lived on autopilot. I remember I started journaling, and I think I wrote down about 7 or 8 journals. Never journaled before. And I said, one of the very first thing I said is like, first of all, I didn't know I was seasick. So I was puking every single day.
No.
And the first part of the journey was 62 days nonstop out on the ocean. And so it's just the two of us, one person sailing, the other one's like sleeping. Never sailed before. So it's just like, everything is moving. I'm like purging. I can't eat.
You've never sailed before. You're seasick and you have to do 12-hour shifts ostensibly.
Or like 4. It's usually 4 and 4.
Okay.
But yeah, I just couldn't fall asleep for like the first 7 days because everything was moving and I didn't realize how hard it's going to be. I thought I'm going to shoot myself. But the moment I actually got a hold of a journal, I said like, I don't even know how I feel, because every time I hear people describe, I like this and I like that, they fucking annoy me because I don't have any idea what would make me truly happy. And that was like one of the first thing I wrote down. And so because we never saw each other, one person was sailing, the other one, aka me, was like, steering, literally hand steering across the ocean, went through the craziest storms. There was this one moment where in the middle of the storm, massive waves, like we were talking about 30-foot tall waves, like hardcore movie shit. And so I'm like sitting and I'm steering the boat, and all of a sudden I just didn't pay attention, turn around and I see a massive wave coming from a side. And a wave coming from a side basically almost can mean death, because the boat has there's a massive, you can capsize really quickly. So I was like, okay, that's it. Like that was my thought. My first thought was like, I'm not gonna make it. And so the wave came, all the cushions I was sitting in were flying off. The light from the mast fell off because it just hit the water. So we basically sideways and turn around. And the water was just filling up the whole cockpit. And I peed myself from fear.
Wow.
And there was water everywhere.
You always hear
Everything's
that
floating.
saying, but no one ever actually pees themselves.
Yeah,
That's
no,
so,
I did. That moment I did.
actually peed yourself. What? That's like a new life goal for me.
Yeah.
I get so scared I pee myself.
Yeah, like right there in that moment. And I was like, oh my God, I literally peed myself. I'm sitting in the ocean water. It's freezing. I'm like in my jacket. The harness saved my life. And so I was like, oh my God, I still have to go for maybe 2 or 3 days. Because it's like, it's not like, oh, I got scared. I have nothing to change into. And it just doesn't, it's not going to change. Like we're in a cyclone. Like it's a tropical depression. So it was like, there's nowhere to go. And they're like not being able to stop. Like I live in a world where if I don't like something, I can just get myself out of that situation quite quickly. And I couldn't. And I was like, oh my God. Like, it's just like, it felt disempowering, but at the same time, like not sleeping for 3 days and like being in those moments when I fought like really one of the biggest oceans. Like we survived storms that other boats didn't, like with professional sailors, because we would leave at the same time from New Zealand, go to Australia, and the boat that we left with didn't make it. Like incredible. Like it was the universe wanting me to live because I had no idea what I was doing.
So like the Aggie that left on that trip and the Aggie, how long were you out in total?
11 months.
11 months?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Aggie that left on that trip and the Aggie that finished that trip 11 months later, like what was different? Like who was the person that left and who was the person that finished?
Well, that was the end of my relationship because I got married when I was 21. And, I was the perfect wife and just did everything.
So this was your husband at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was husband at the time. And
I mean, I would divorce someone too if I was stuck on a boat with him for 11 months.
Oh my God. But it was funny because he was like, oh yeah, now you have to give me your kid. Give me kids, right? Because you had your part of you had the fun part of life. And I was like, no, I feel like I am a very different person. For the first time in my life, I know what I want. I know what I like. I tested myself. So I felt really empowered, and that it didn't exactly resonate with him. And he's like, you've changed. I'm like, yeah, you've never seen me empowered. Not because you were keeping me small, but I kept myself small.
I was keeping myself small.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so he was just like, who the hell are you? And I'm like, I know, like, I know I'm not the same person that we married. And so I was just like, that basically was the end of our marriage. And I think that was where I moved to LA with $450. And I was like, I feel like LA is the next move. And the rest is history.
Wow. And so it now feels like a big part of your mission to empower people, mostly women, to like step into their full, like anything that's keeping them small, like to step into their deserving power, step into their worthiness. And so what's lighting you up most about what you're doing right now? I
think a lot of us women think that if we step into our full power, we will lose our partners or our friendships, which it can be true, but it doesn't have to be. I think you can stay in the same relationship because I think there are more and more conscious men that are really, really passionate about seeing their women succeed and grow and thrive. And so all that healthy masculine energy can hold our growth. And that's really inspiring to me. And things are changing. And so my biggest wish for women would be to taste that freedom, taste the power, and realize that them stepping into the power doesn't take away the power of their partner, and it's not going to take away their relationships. In fact, it's going to make them so much better because you don't come from a place of codependency because you need your husband or you need your partner because he's paying the bill so he can fix something. Because the moment you need somebody, like that's codependency. Like you just want to be with somebody because you want to love them, right? But you don't really need them.
Well, it's such an interesting time, right? Because like gender is changing, sexual identity is changing. So it's like this old paradigm of like one man and one woman, and then the masculine provides for the feminine. Like all of this is just getting like blown wide open, right? Yeah. Which is really exciting because then we get to not so much choose, but I guess discover, right? We get to discover like, where is the masculine and feminine inside of me? Where is my attraction? What type of partners? Like there's just a whole new world, which I think requires a level of honesty and then also a level of like holding both poles inside of ourselves.
Yeah. And also like, I think the whole power of not labeling things as they are, right? And whether you're homosexual or heterosexual or bisexual, or maybe you're someone in between bisexual and heterosexual, right? Like, what is that, right? Like on the spectrum, maybe you're like an 80%, and it's just like having the permission to not identify as anything as yourself is so good.
Glennon Doyle has an amazing in Untamed, which is also known as my Bible.
Same.
Read it 10 times, like
So good.
mildly obsessed, putting it out there that Glennon will come on the podcast. I know she never leaves her house, but at some point
She did come on mine, so she will.
She did?
Yeah, the first edition. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She's amazing.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so I'll
That's
just
like,
bet-
you just told me that you like met John Lennon or like the Pope or something.
Great. I'll let her know to like come on yours for sure.
Yes.
She's the best, but she's honestly was like super down to earth, so wise, so down to earth. She's like, Aggie sister, if you need anything, I'm here. So that's gonna be my first favor.
Instant manifestation. Yes. I quote Glennon Doyle, like my audience is so tired of me, but this is a really great story where she's like, we have all of these cups, right? We have like a cup for heterosexual and a cup for homosexual and a cup for, pansexual and a cup for queer and cisgendered. And she's like, instead of making more cups and more containers, what if we just recognize that we're all the ocean?
Fuck yeah.
Like we can't contain the ocean inside of these containers.
Exactly, because you could be at 20% and 30% and 10%.
We don't need more cups. We need to all identify with the everythingness, right?
Beautiful.
Which is one of the things I think meditation can do for you, because you stop being so in your individuality, because every day, twice a day, you're transcending the left brain and stepping into the piece of us that doesn't die, the piece of us that is connected to everyone and everything.
Well, so let's go there. Let's go to meditation.
So I want to know, like, at what point in this journey, right? So like leaving Poland, getting married, going on this amazing sailing, borderline insane adventure, getting divorced, moving to LA with $500 in your pocket, building this whole empire. Where in this timeline did you start meditating? Where did you find Ziva? How did that impact your, like, the next chapter of your evolution? Like, I'd love to know, like, your Ziva
So
journey.
I never meditated before, but while I was sailing, I realized, I'm like, okay, clearly I have so much time. I might as well try. So that was my first experience with meditation. And at the beginning, it sucked and I didn't like it and whatever. And I basically tried to look up, sort of like you count from 1 to 10. And, if you just have another thought, then you go back to 1, whatever. Keep your eyes half open, because when you close, you go like into a different realm, like so many of these things. At the end of the day, I just ended up just sitting at the back of the boat. And towards the end of the journey, mind you, 11 months of being your sync with the rhythm of the ocean. So now, it's a feeling I would love to go back to, but I would just cry every single day and like feeling this ultimate bliss, peace, interconnectedness, gratitude, feeling one with nature, because you're meditating. So I would meditate for an hour a day, and I was like, never again will I live my life. I wrote out in my journal, I will never stop meditating in my life. 6 months later. In the city, I was like, wow, this is really hard. So what happened? So I was going through a difficult time. So I said to myself, like, I was meditating like from some YouTube video, and it just got me really addicted, but I still was contained. I was still like, had that like somewhat of the cleansing from the sailing trip. So the first 6 months from the sailing trip, I was just like, the thoughts were here. They were not here. They were just like here. And I was just like, oh no, I'm not engaging that. It was amazing. And then over time, it just got worse and worse and worse. And a lot of the things that were working for me back on the boat, it was impossible for me to go back to that moment. But I had a reference point. I knew how good it can feel. And so spent a lot
doing
of
psychedelics. It's like you can taste it, the window, it's possible, but it's hard to get back to it.
Yeah,
without
it's literally like taking Molly. No, that I don't know. I do know. Okay, I do know.
I don't know anything about that.
No, never.
Molly, also known as MDMA, also known as ecstasy. We can talk about it later.
Yeah,
okay,
but definitely not that. But I basically spent a lot of money on a TM meditation, and they were like twice a day for 20 minutes. And it has to be that way. If it's not that way, don't even bother. And so that made me meditate even less.
Because it was so rigid.
Yeah.
So TM, also known as Transcendental Meditation, organization has taught millions of people to meditate, for the folks who don't know, but it felt a little rigid for you.
I mean, it just made me not meditate, actually. And so I stopped meditating because I was feeling like I'm not doing it right. And so I didn't have the exact 20 minutes and, just like the whole idea that you can maybe damage your brain if you're coming out of it too quickly or too rigidly and whatever, like scared me almost for meditation. So I stopped doing it, but I really, really missed it. And so I would have that relationship with the meditation of like, I don't know, I was on holiday, so I'm just sit down for 5 minutes and it just kind of like really missed it. It's kind of that feeling of like, it's there. I just didn't know how to get there anymore. And so during the pandemic, my friend Masha was like, I'm meditating twice a day. I'm like, you're meditating during a pandemic? I'm like, I just cannot bring myself to like quiet my thoughts. I was really a mess. I was constantly on my phone, like checking news. And so she was like, yeah, I'm doing it with Ziva. So I was like, saw your face. I was like, I want to be like her.
This one?
Yes. And I was like, because you had like, you were the embodiment. And I remember when I asked my coach, I was like, I want to inspire women. Like, how do I inspire women? And she's like, you don't, Aggie. You live your best life. And they see a sparkle in your eyes that you're already there. And that's their roadmap. And so I think that's what you do with Ziva. Like people see that you're already there and the roadmap is in your eyes, literally. And so started meditating with you and was immediately that feeling that I felt when I was sailing. And I was like, wow, like I'm there.
Wait, it brought you back to that same, like, feeling in tune with nature, feeling in
because
flow.
it's like just dropping into my body, and the trifecta is like super, super important, right? Because it's like
the trifecta of mindfulness, meditation, and manifesting. Okay.
Yeah, for those who don't know, it's even very hard.
There might be someone out there who hasn't done the training yet.
All right.
So
so like first of all, dropping into the body was really helpful for me because it was just like for a very busy mind, I just can't just sit there and get myself in, and so. Just the whole idea of like getting better at life instead of getting better at meditation, which obviously that's what TM made me not want to do, is because I was saying I'm doing it wrong, right? And so you gave me that permission, and ever since then I meditate twice a day. And sometimes I'm like, can I sneak in a cheeky third one? Sometimes I really need it.
A cheeky third?
Yeah, a cheeky third.
I like that.
Because sometimes when it's like, the first one was like quite busy, and I was like, just like a 10 minutes, and it's not even as much as my meditation, it's just like sitting still. Like how often do we just like, I just want to sit with myself.
Just be.
Yeah.
And I think for people who don't have training or don't have a visceral experience of that would feel like torture. Like it's like what our parents used to do to us when we were little, like go to timeout, go be with yourself. Or if we're not
so true.
Facing our fears, right? And then like sitting with yourself is actually a hell or a nightmare. And so for anyone who's like who can't imagine that sitting with yourself is be something that you would crave, right? And actually want to do more of it, that just know that it is possible. And it takes like a little bit of training and a little bit of tools that's designed for you and not a monk, or maybe just a teacher that you resonate with and you see that sparkle of recognition in their eyes.
It's so beautiful. And I love what you just said. Question for you. Isn't that funny that as parents, you program our children that time by yourself is a punishment instead of like, and then a reward is food. And then we wonder why people struggle with eating disorders or overeating or binge eating or emotional eating. Yet, why don't we flip it?
Yeah.
What if it's like, oh my God, you've been so good today. Why don't you just sit in a corner and hang out with yourself?
And enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, as a punishment, I'm going to give you really shitty fast food. It's going to make you feel terrible about yourself and your body.
Aggie, this is genius.
Right?
I'm like willing to try this experiment.
Really? Are you going to experiment on your son on my behalf?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I'll report
because it's
back.
really how you, it's really like NLP, right?
Right, because it's like you see that like, I ate the Twinkie, I feel terrible. Right, enough times, then they like it's actually a whole school of parenting that's like intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation. And so it's like, let them eat the Skittles, let them eat the Twinkies. Like they will see that it makes them feel sick, and they will intrinsically stop. Versus like if you're monitoring it all the time, then like, there's some external boundary. I'm listening to someone else. And definitely about being with yourself. If like private time, quiet time, alone time was a reward, like how would that change our paradigm?
I know, it was like the biggest punishment. My grandma, rest in peace, her punishment for me was to sit in a corner first and then read a book or out loud. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, I cannot think of anything more miserable than sitting and just reading out loud.
And now it's like your dream. Now it's like
and now it's my guilty
dream.
pleasure. I'm like, wait, sit in the corner with my book and read to myself whatever I want. Amazing. But it also comes down to like, parents make you read books that you don't give a shit about. Like, and you're just not interested. Like, instead of like, what do you want to read? And then people have terrible relationship with reading.
Well, the other thing that's happening with the timeout piece is like, then you feel abandoned, right? Like here I am, I'm feeling afraid or sad or angry or some sort of big feeling. And now instead of someone sitting with me and like teaching me that it's okay to feel this, I've now been abandoned. I'm given no training on how to deal with this. And then we wonder why everyone's not facing their fears, right? It was like, well, we were never taught. It'd be like my 4-year-old son, like, hey, go dunk that basketball with no training. You're not tall enough. You don't actually have the mental or physical capabilities to do that, but I'm expecting you to do that. And when you're upset when you can't, I'm not going to give you any compassion or teach you how to do it. I'm just going to leave you alone.
I'm going to see, like, did you see what you did there?
Yeah.
Like, it's just really, really mean. And instead of be like, hey, like, okay, you're feeling overwhelmed. Why don't we just sit down, like do some breath work? And then.
I mean, I have tried that. My son is like, you can take your breath work and shove it right up your ass.
Oh, really?
I really try. What I try to do now is like, just make wind. I was like, make really strong wind in my hand. I'd be like,
oh, that's
like,
great
or make
idea.
soft wind. But what I do regardless, because I can't make him do the breath work because I think he knows that I want it too bad. But what I do is I get on his level, I make eye contact, and I sportscast. Right? This is like a thing of rye parenting. We're like, oh, like you fell down, your knee's bleeding, you're crying. How does it feel? So you just say the thing that happened, right?
Oh,
like,
interesting.
You got sent home from school. Your friends were bullying you. Like, how does it feel? So you say the thing on their level, eye contact, sportscast, and then ask them how they're feeling. And I will preach this from the rooftops. The thing that I am on such a soapbox about is that we have to stop telling our kids that they're okay. They fall down like, you're okay. You're okay. I know your friend lied to you, but like, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. And they're not.
Yeah, it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah, it's okay not to be okay. They're afraid. They're sad. They're angry. We say that to them because we want them to be okay because it makes us uncomfortable because we don't know how to feel our feelings.
Yeah.
It's like, can we regulate our own emotions and then sit with them? Like literally hold space for them when they're in that intense experience.
Oh, so beautiful. Anyway. It's so funny because it reminds me of FBI negotiator Chris Voss, and he calls it labeling. So one of the ways of like getting people to really calm down is actually just label their emotions for them.
Like, how would that work in the negotiation?
Like, basically, like, it looks like, or it seems like you're stressed or you're hurting, or it seems like to me that you said, and then apparently it immediately comes down your nervous system.
Yeah, because we all just want to be seen and heard.
Yeah, and you just want to name the emotion that you're feeling.
Yeah.
So the moment you name it, it actually like relaxes your nervous system. Yeah. It's crazy to think.
Versus like go in the room and deny what is. It's like, no, let's
you're
love
fine.
what is. Which I love you said that about the fear too. You're like, oh, little Aggie is with me. Afraid little girl Aggie is right here with me. But I have a lot of empathy for her. I'm loving her.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like, it's not conquering. It's actually like loving and including her in the experience.
Yeah. And I it's quite a common practice, but I always recommend it to in my Higher Self Academy, print a photo of yourself when you feel like a little badass. You still have that sparkle in your eyes, and put in a bathroom, mirror, and just like talk to yourself, talk to your
like a little
self.
You or like current you?
No, like the 5-year-old you, the one that hasn't been brainwashed by the system yet, and she's still like she feels like she was born to do the great shit, and then she stops like actually questioning it. But I think when we're young, we still believe we are born to believe that we're here to do the big things, and over time it's just like, oh, maybe not. All other people can do it better, or whatever it might be, right? Or like, I'm not talented enough, whatever enough I can come up with. And so having the photo of a 5-year-old self in the bathroom, and so it actually came to me during my ayahuasca journey as well recently. So
for just anyone who doesn't know, ayahuasca is a sacred plant medicine, like a lot of different indigenous cultures. And a lot of people will sit, this is called like sitting with ayahuasca, but really usually lying down. Yeah. It can be a really powerful psychoactive journey. Oftentimes there's purging that involves like emotional and spiritual purging. But then depending on what you need in that moment? Is it guidance? Is it some sort of an exorcism? Is it some sort of a healing? But it can provide different medicine to different people.
They say it's the connecting to the DNA of the planet, to the wisdom of the planet. And so it does feel like you're talking to a consciousness. And so it has been such a big part of my healing journey. And so it was less than 10 days ago, actually.
Really? You sat 10 days ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's still fresh, but it was
looking so fresh.
Right?
I mean, I feel like it takes a while to like crawl yourself out of that intensity.
But I cried nonstop for 2 days. And so a couple of beautiful things that came up. Number one, she told me why I'm so sad, right? So going through a breakup, I thought that that's the reason. But she basically showed me every single moment in my life where I didn't allow myself to be sad. And it came up and it made me cry even more and more. And it was like from the moment I was 7 years old and we got a phone call. I still remember. So I'm lying in bed. It's 10 p.m. I'm 7 years old. And the phone call calls. And, it's like scary. Like you're in bed. And we had a super small apartment in Poland. And my mom picks up and she screams, no, please, no. So she got a call that her mom died. And so I went straight into that moment of being 7-year-old, being terrified, hearing your own mother in so much pain and not knowing what to do. And you didn't know, should I come out of the room? I just could, I will remember the sound forever, right? Like that really deep despair and grief. And so I then felt my mom's pain and despair and not having any tools to deal with such a big loss so suddenly. And I would see every single moment of my life where I didn't allow myself to be sad because, I woke up the next morning and I just saw my mom crying in the kitchen and I was numb. I just didn't know. I didn't really cry about grandma. I was just sad to see my mom so sad, but I didn't cry. And so it was moment after moment, all the moments I didn't allow myself to cry and how it's all stored in my body.
Oof.
And I really cried that weekend.
Wow,
but the second,
good for you. Talk about facing your fears, right?
Yeah. That was, ayahuasca is one of the biggest, the most stressful, most terrifying things you can ever do because it's just here, right? So that's way harder than jumping out of a plane for me. But I actually saw a reflection of myself. So imagine you can do that same exercise for yourself. Imagine that you see a reflection of yourself in the mirror. When you were 3 years old, do you remember the bathroom that you grew up in? Do you remember what's on the cabinet, counter, on the sink?
Mustard
what's
yellow, dark chocolate wood, yellow linoleum.
So what are you wearing? You're brushing your teeth. You're about to go to bed, and can you remember the toothbrush, the little ones? Maybe something cute like a dinosaur or something. And you're brushing your teeth. You see yourself in the mirror. You're 5 years old. What are you thinking? And I remember thinking wow, just seeing myself for who I was really. And then I saw myself when I was 9 years old and then 12 years old. And it was the same bathroom or was it slightly different? My parents renovated the bathroom was slightly different. And I look in the mirror and I go, oh my God, not the pimples. My nose is too wide. And that's how it started. And so I saw myself when I was 16 years old and 20, 21 in every single apartment I lived in every single moment of my life. Whether it's a public bathroom somewhere in Japan to my apartment in LA, the very first one. And I remember every time I looked in the mirror, I was oh, I look tired. Oh, I look swollen. I don't like my brows, whatever it might be. And the disappointment in the same girl that was there when she was 5 years old, would be yo, but I just love you and I want to say hi. This is our chance to say hello. And my first reaction is oh, you're not what I want you to be because you don't fit to this society's expectation of, what I think I'm supposed to look like, even though everyone has this body dysmorphia to some extent. And so I realized that I was wow, no more. I am beautiful because I'm myself. And the definition of beautiful isn't to be proportional or having high cheekbones, although yours look great. I look amazing. And beautiful eyes, whatever it might be. The definition of beautiful is looking like yourself, because no one else looks like yourself unless you have a twin. I apologize if that's the case.
But even then, I have identical twin friends, and they look different to me.
Yeah,
now.
they do, and they seem different.
Because
So
their souls are different.
yeah,
it's like I had a teacher once that said that your body is like a baseball glove, and the soul is the hand, and so the hand actually shapes the baseball glove. So it's like your soul is shaping your body,
which is very true when you see twins, how different they feel right away. You're like, technically they're the same, but actually they're not. And
so this is all happening in Aya, where you were like, oh, every time you looked in the mirror and you would criticize yourself, you saw like little 5-year-old Aggie being like disappointed that she was like not living up to some external socialization.
Yeah, and that little girl in the mirror didn't get it. She was like, but like, I thought we're friends for life. Like we're still the same people that you loved when you look in the mirror when you were 5 years old. And I was like, obviously, I was like, oh shit. Like I cried even more. And you know, that I was like, fuck, I feel so bad. And I'm like, I kind of want to change it. And I was like, forgiving myself and actually say, I forgive you. I forgive myself for every single moment. Like that was really hard because it didn't come easy to say, I forgive you. You know, it actually was much harder than I thought it would be because I was like really beating myself up for it. And so now I printed the photo of myself when I was 5 years old, pasted in the bathroom mirror. And I'm like, yeah, that's the girl, we're doing it. And I just have this like wink and a little smile and just remember like, fuck, I am myself. Like what a gift. Like you got that human, so like it's amazing. And any sort of swelling or anything that you don't love about yourself, right? So like passion for biohacking, right? So I went from somebody who had great skin to like, you know, just full of pimples, like hair being lost in patches, put a lot of weight. And so I realized that I'm not my symptoms. They're just like biofeedback. There's feedback. This is the way how your body communicates.
Yeah, body's getting your attention.
Yeah, it's like, hey, something's up. Like just listen instead of like getting upset and thinking like I am my symptoms. So
and judging them or criticizing them. One thing I just want to really celebrate this and underline that, like, thank you for doing this exercise. Thank you for having the bravery to go into the ceremony. Thank you for acknowledging little Aggie, and then for teaching this of like put the photo up. So according to the Vedas, so Veda, Veda, Sanskrit word that means knowledge, like knowledge of what? Knowledge of nature, right? So like nature's moving in these beautiful ways. And the Vedas are basically a human interpretation of natural law.
Oh, beautiful.
And there is this idea in the Vedas, and I say the most foundational concept is that there's only one thing and we're all it. Like that is the thing that everything else is built on inside of the Vedas. And if that's true, then there is really no like external higher self, or there is no angel. There is no God outside of you or goddess outside of you. It's all an extension of you, right? It's all capital S self. And that includes little Aggie, and that includes future Aggie. And so the other cool thing is that time can happen horizontally, but it can also happen vertically. And so especially when you're in these meditation states, right, you're transcending the realm of thinking. So you're transcending the realm of time, because time is a function of thought. So instead of time happening separately, past, present, future on this horizontal plane, when we meditate and we access these different states of consciousness, we can move it vertically. So you, Aggie, right now, putting that picture of 5-year-old Aggie, you're actually turning that time vertical, and you're going and visiting her. Every single time you look at that photo,
beautiful.
You get to visit little Aggie, and you are changing her state of consciousness, which then changes your state of consciousness in the now. Because if you up-level 5-year-old Aggie,
like
it
interstellar.
up-levels you right now. It's total interstellar. And then it creates this upward spiral until there's something called a Rashi, where there's this like huge surge in consciousness, where your surge in consciousness now and the surge in consciousness from little Aggie and future Aggie all meet in the same place.
Oh my God,
that is
so
the awakening
cool.
moment.
Wow.
Yeah, so it seems simple of like loving 5-year-old Aggie. It's a big deal. And you could even see that anytime you feel like guidance, or anytime you just felt protected, like on that boat, nature just wanted me to survive. She wanted me to live. What if that was future Aggie, like going back to Aggie on that boat, and she was protecting you? Right? So even if you don't like the word angels, or you don't like the word like gods or goddesses, it's like, what if it's just future you coming back to lift you up and to give you the medicine that you need in this moment?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So good. I think we can end right now. This was it.
Well, I'm wondering, is there anything else that you want to share? Is there anything else that you wish that I had asked you? I'm new at this whole podcasting thing.
No, you're
so
crushing.
Teach me.
No, honestly, and I think it's just like your presence and everything that you're working on is such a pleasure. Love that word. and an honor to witness. And thank you for giving women permission to be who the hell they want to be and they're capable of. And it's just, I'm so grateful to be here and to witness your growth and just to giving me the space to share my story in the way I just did. I think it hasn't been shared like that before. And I think it just is a testament to how good of a interviewer you are. So thank you.
Thank you. I do have one final question that just came up, is that I know you started studying Tantra in 2018 and Tantra, you know, and honestly, like, even though nature has been giving me all of these tools and ideas, I still haven't like technically studied Tantra. So I should be super transparent about that. Most of my transmissions have been organic or from friends. And
I love the word organic.
Yeah, like they're just happening sort of spontaneously.
Yeah. I just had a vision of, I just had an organic...
an organic orgasm. Yeah. Which, I mean, you know, is different than like
organic.
A porn-induced, vibrator-induced orgasm is different than like one where you are like cultivating your own energy and transmuting your own energy and bringing it through the whole body.
Yeah, Erewhon orgasm, basically.
Orgasm.
Certified.
Worry. I definitely spent well, I'm not even going to say that, but like I know. It's too late now. I spent a lot of money at Erewhon last night. It was terrifying and also thrilling. So I would just like to know, so Tantra, my understanding of Tantra is that it's you cultivating your own life force, you cultivating your own energy, and then being able to circulate it through your body so that you can use this creation energy, this sexual energy in ways other than just for sex. So I'm curious what inspired you to start that journey, and then how has that impacted who you are today?
Oh, wow. Beautiful questions. I definitely can't be, you know, a thought leader on Tantra. It was just basically... was also my journey through Tantra was quite organic through my partner at the time. And so it was really beautiful because I had this preconceived idea of what's possible in sex. And so when we met, he's like, have you ever had a 2-hour orgasm? Have you had 17 orgasms? I'm like, no, weird. And he's like, no, like, stop judging. So we went really deep into like, just seeing like what's possible for me, right? And it was like holding space, and he definitely didn't have ego of like, oh, I want to make her come or whatever that is. It was just more for like, let's see what's possible for you.
Yeah,
and that
play, let's experiment, let's be with each other in the now.
Yeah, and that really inspired me to read more about Tantra. And I think like when you go to like the hardcore Tantra teachings, a lot of them don't really resonate with me. They're like just not relatable for the practices that I'm interested in. And I think what, for example, yourself or Layla Martin or Mama Gina are doing is basically translating the Tantra and kind of what you did with Ziva, just like Tantra's for like, I would like what meditations for the monks is like, how do you translate Tantra and bring it into the city for people that don't really have, you know, because like I think one of the
weeks to go into the jungle,
yeah,
or
and it's I think
like
one of
have
the
sex with 10 people on a retreat or something like that.
Yeah, and they say like, oh, you know, like with Tantra is like a big part of it's like you start with a non-arousal, right? Which is like beautiful, but also sometimes it's not always doable. I'm not gonna get into too much detail, but it is definitely like what's the I'm sorry, I forgot the word.
That's all good. What's the synonym for it? Like
I'm like, I don't want to use like a rude word, but when the guy isn't aroused, it's like
flaccid?
Yeah. When he's flaccid. Like, okay. So that's when you like in Tantra, you start when he's not aroused. Yeah. And you know, you go. So basically, so you start penetration while.
Oh, you penetrate flaccid.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so that's how you start, and then you arouse, and the very fact that you're inside a woman like gets you excited.
Okay, so not to bring everything back to the Vedas, but here goes. So there's this Yoni Lingam, like there's this Shiva Shakti like temples all over India, and it's this like beautiful. It looks like almost like a lamp, and then there's this thing that looks like a phallus in the middle of it, and it's basically representative of Shiva and Shakti, the masculine and the feminine, which is inside of all of us. But the idea is that without the feminine, that there is no phallus, right? Like it actually, like it is the walls, it is the banks of the river.
Beautiful.
That creates that like surge, that creates that arousal. And again, like to take this out of cisgender, to take this out of, you know, heterosexuality or heteronormative, it's like we have those masculine and feminine polarities inside of all of us. And to start from a place of non-arousal, to start from just neutral, right? Like even 0. I'm like, my boyfriend and I, we have a saying of like, what's your level of charge right now? So like if he's at an 8 and I'm at a -2, no judgment, but how do we find each other in that? And how do we have practices to modulate versus like having some sort of shame or story, or I should be something or you should be something else. So,
and I think it's like, just like that's like literally the key to like a successful sexual life, just having a good communication, that your partner's arousal has nothing to do with your sexual like skills, and
they could just be having a bad day or need some magnesium or something.
Yeah, and we take everything so personally, and so it's like the most beautiful reminder that it isn't about us. It's, you know, you're like together in it.
Yeah, so beautiful.
That's it.
Thank you for enlightening us on why isn't everyone facing their fears, to giving us that window into the sweetness that you taste after you pull that parachute. How much sweeter the freedom is once you've actually walked through the fire of the fear. So thank you. I love you. I'm so inspired by you. And I want to thank you for joining us. Please, if you haven't yet, like, follow, subscribe. And if you're curious for more goodness, you can go to zivameditation.com/why this. So Aggie, where can people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Aggie, but also Aggie. Also at Higher Self Academy. That's where all my courses, biohacking, self-growth, whatever you can, whatever you need, it's there. And also my podcast, Biohacking Bestie.
Biohacking Bestie.
Yeah.
I may or may not be a guest on it. We might be on the same set wearing these same outfits.
Maybe.
Just maybe. You'll have to see. All right, I love you. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.